So here we have it, finally, Android 15 is out, and it's available for all Pixels from the Pixel 6 up until those newest Pixel 9s. Now, I've got to say, there's not the biggest update that we've ever seen, and there aren't many noticeable differences in your day-to-day using of the phone, but there are enough of them for us to give you a rundown of them in this video. But not only did we get Android 15, Google also gave us a Pixel feature drop on the exact same day. So we'll break the video into two parts. The first part, we'll be talking about Android 15, and then we'll have a look at these new Pixel feature drops. So let's get straight into what is new here with Android 15. Now let's start with something that is my favorite one, and this is not a Pixel exclusive, but we now finally have a Home Control Screensaver. Now I'll show you this working on my Pixel tablet and the Pixel 9, but essentially this means that when docked, for example, on either the Pixel stand or the tablet dock, you now have quick access to any of your home controls. So whether that be smart devices or lights, you can now control them all from that new Screensaver, and you can even add your favorites here for even quicker access to your smart home controls. And this is by far one of my favorite additions to Android 15. Now, private space is kind of what it says on the tin, and within the app drawer you can scroll to the bottom and access a private space where you can add apps that you might want to keep hidden from other people. This private space will be locked as well, so only you can access it, and you can turn this on by searching private space in settings, and here you can choose to lock this private space with a different passcode to what you already have on your lock screen. And within that private space you can actually sign into a different Gmail account for your emails or your photos, and you can keep any apps in here if you want to keep them hidden away. Whilst inside that private space, you can actually choose to hide it as well, so it then wouldn't appear at the bottom of the app drawer, but instead you would have to search the phrase private space to even find it. This again is one of the bigger updates to Android 15, and it might just keep some of the stuff that you really want to be hidden away. If you ever have a worry about your phone being stolen, then you don't need to now, because Android 15 introduces a new feature called theft detection. And this is actually a really cool feature that uses AI to help detect if your phone has been snatched away from you. And how this works is that it uses its AI and accelerometers to figure out whether your phone is being snatched out of your hand, and if someone is either running away, biking away, or in a car and driving away. What will happen then is that your phone will automatically lock, keeping it away from anyone who might have stolen your phone. And you can actually use a new remote lock feature as well to lock your phone using the phone number that is attached to that phone. And you need to go to the website, that's android.com/lock. And as long as that device is online, it'll lock. And even if your device is offline, as soon as it is online again, it will automatically lock. And then you just need to unlock it using that passcode when you get your phone back. Let's move on to something now called app archiving. And if you ever need to free up some space, and deleting apps is kind of your thing to free up that space, then now what you can do is archive that app instead, and you won't lose any of the data. This is kind of like deleting the app, and you need to go into apps and then select archive to do this. And what it'll do is it'll delete pretty much the bulk of that app, but keep your information, like your login data. And you can see here that it takes the eBay app down from 194 megabytes to just 8.7 kilobytes. And this is really handy if you know you're going to download that app again and maybe don't remember your login information. So instead of deleting the app, all you have to do is archive it. There is a new option under battery in settings now. So on Android 14, if you clicked on the battery, you had adaptive charging, and that was pretty much it. But now you'll see a new option on Android 15 where you can limit the charge of the device to 80%. This just means that when your phone is plugged in and charging, like overnight, it will never charge over 80%. And this is to preserve that battery health, like in the long term. We've seen this before on other phones, so it's not entirely new, but if you're someone who wants to try and preserve that battery life and you fancy keeping your phone for quite a long time, then limiting that charge to 80% might be something you want to turn on. Some smaller updates, but things that I've noticed. So if you go into a screen recording, you'll notice that on Android 14, you had that small little dot that indicated you were doing that screen recording, but to stop that screen recording, you needed to pull down the notification shade and stop it there. On Android 15, you'll now get this indicator that gives you the time that you've been recording, and instead of having to drag down that notification shade to stop it, you just have to tap on that new screen recording indicator and you can stop it right from there. There's now an easy way to switch between keyboards as well, with a small globe icon in the bottom right corner. So if you have different keyboards or languages you need to switch to pretty often, then this you can do right from here now, and it's nice and easy with a quick tap. There's a small change in the settings option of the Bluetooth menu, and now that is you can have the option when you turn your Bluetooth off for whatever reason to have it automatically turn on the following day. This is actually really useful for making sure your phone stays connected to Find My device, and this setting is turned on automatically in the settings to help you stop from forgetting to turn it back on and then not being able to find your phone. There's a new setting for notifications as well called Notification Cooldown, and essentially what this does is if you get a load of notifications all at once, so when you turn your phone on for example and you get bombarded with notifications, it will actually reduce the volume of all those notification sounds coming through, so it's not really annoying for other people, but things like your calls and your alarms will still ring at normal volume. So this is a really nice addition. And then there's some even smaller additions to Android 15, again that aren't life-changing, but it's something that I've noticed while I've been going through it. So there's a new animation when swiping home from any app that you're in. It blurs the background ever so slightly. Again, not too noticeable, but a nice little change. When selecting a widget and you tap on that widget, it now gives you a new plus add button that will appear. And if you go into settings, you'll notice now that this is a more obvious selection for each setting in its own little box, so to speak. So you now have the Google option at the top where that used to be closer to the bottom, and it's just had a bit more of an organization here, so it feels and looks a little bit nicer. There is an update to the volume panel as well, with each slider now getting its own distinct buttons compared to that same panel on Android 14 where it was kind of all just on one page, and now you can press on the far right or far left to completely increase or decrease the volume. And there are a couple of updates regarding tablets as well on Android 15. So the first one of these is app pairs. Now, if there's two apps that you use quite often together in multitasking, you now have the option to make them an app pair. And all you have to do is open up the two apps in the split screen mode and then swipe up again to create that app pair. And what it'll do is it'll save them as an icon on your home screen, which means you can just get to those multitasking apps a little bit quicker. And if you always want to keep the taskbar visible on your tablet running Android 15, no matter what you're doing, you now can. And I'll show you how this works on the Pixel tablet. All you do is swipe up and long press on this little line, and it now gives you the option to keep that taskbar around no matter what you're doing. And that is a load of those updates that we've seen in Android 15. Again, they're just some of the most notable ones that you might see using your phone day to day and things that you might want to know about. But like I mentioned, there isn't a huge amount of game-changing features that we've seen in Android 15, sadly. But if you use a Pixel phone, then there might be some more updates here because Google have given you a Pixel feature drop today. So let's go through everything that is new on this October Pixel feature drop. First off, let's start with Instagram, and now you have night sight for Instagram, and you can use this right inside of the app. So what it means is you don't need to take photos in the camera app and then upload them to your story. You can get high quality, low light photos directly within the app, and you can see the difference that it makes here. Here's one with night sight, and then here is one without. And this will come to every single Pixel phone from the Pixel 6, but sadly, for some reason, Google has decided that this won't be coming to the A series of Pixel phones. If you've ever wanted to take photos or videos underwater, well, now your Pixel phone will automatically detect that the scene is one of an underwater landscape. Now, I'd still use a waterproof case because your phone isn't waterproof, but your Pixel will now make the colors on videos and pictures look richer and a little bit more accurate when it can detect that your photos are being taken underwater. And if this is a feature that you might not want on at all, you can switch this off in the settings. Sticking with camera features now, and in this latest Pixel feature drop, you can get to astrophotography just a little bit easier. If you go to night sight, you'll now be able to slide this to astrophotography, meaning you can take those pictures of the stars just a little bit quicker. And kind of sticking with camera, but moving over to video, there's been some updates to the Audio Magic Eraser. This little upgrade means you can be a little bit more intricate with what sounds you want to remove or sounds you want to boost. And you can now separate different voices and adjust the volume of each one individually to make sure that you're heard nice and clearly. You're also able to turn the volume up and down of specific sounds to make sure that there is no sound that is going to ruin the video that you took. And this is not a huge update, but I like the fact that you can now go in and change the volume of each voice. This is really nice. This might be one of Google's most forgotten features that I just don't even remember is on my phone, but the temperature sensor is now getting a little upgrade. The camera is now integrated into the temperature sensor, so you can actually see what you're trying to take the temperature of. I actually can't believe we didn't have this already, but what it'll do is it'll give you a live reading on screen of the temperature, and you can also save those recent measurements to your recent results if that's something you want to do. The Pixel Weather app is now coming to more devices, and Google is bringing this to what it calls its legacy devices. So if you have a Pixel 6 or newer, then you'll now be able to get your hands on the Pixel Weather app. And there's also an update for everybody with the Pixel Weather app, as there's now an addition of a pollen tracker, just in time for winter. There's a nice new addition here to widgets, which is called Widget Discovery. So when you're wanting to select some widgets to spice up your home screen, this will now give you suggestions of widgets at the top of that screen and show you exactly what they would look like before you go and take the time to put them onto that home screen. Okay, let's quickly take a look at the Pixel Watch and Pixel Tablet, but we'll start with that watch, and there are a couple of new additions coming here. There's a new contact tile coming to all Pixel watches, and if there's someone that you contact a lot, you can now pick that person and add them as a tile, so you can pretty quickly either call or message them without going through the effort of finding that contact yourself. You're now able to do emoji email reactions directly from your watch, and I hate emojis at the best of times, but now you can annoy people like me by replying with a thumbs up to a really long email directly from your watch. And one of the best features on the Pixel Watch 3, which is the loss of pulse feature, is now rolling out to more countries. What the Pixel Watch will do is that if it notices that your heart has stopped, it will contact the emergency services. And I actually love this. And now if you live in Belgium, Italy, or Spain, then this is now available to you. So it's definitely worth switching that on. Sadly though, if you're in the US, you still can't get this feature. So you just have to wait a little bit longer. Let's do a couple of Pixel tablet updates now, and you can have widgets available right to you on the lock screen with a swipe right, which means you can now see certain bits of info without going into that tablet. And if you click on a widget, then what you'll need to do is actually put your passcode in to get a little bit more information. And annoyingly, you can't resize any of these widgets. They just stay in this 3x3 row. There's going to be some new clock screensavers as well, and if you want to see these, what you need to do is go into your settings and under screensaver and full clock, and you'll see a couple of new clocks just there. If you use the Photoframe Screensaver and you see a photo that you might want to share to someone, you can now do this right from the Pixel Tablet photo frame, which is actually a pretty nice addition, especially if a photo comes up and it reminds you of someone or an occasion and you just want to share it. And finally, you're going to get notification dismissal. So if you get a notification that pops up on your Pixel tablet or your Pixel phone and you dismiss it on one of them, it will dismiss it on the other, which just means there's a nice little bit of continuity between the two devices. So this is again something that I think is a really nice addition, and I can't believe we didn't have this already. And that is a lot of features that have been added to Android 15 and the latest Pixel feature drop from Google. But let me know what you think of the updates from either of these. Now, do you think Android 15 is the big update you were hoping for, or does this feel more like a little bit of an Android 14.5 update? Let me know in the comments either way. Before you head off, make sure you subscribe to the Android Authority YouTube channel, and if you do that, then I will see you in the next video.